Frequency in itself has an impact on our body and every area, because everything's vibrating. If you think of say love being a very high frequency, if you come and engage love can raise your frequency up and entrain that frequency to come higher, and then you become in harmony with that frequency, you resonate with it. That produces benefits within your whole being. Low frequencies, the body can operate low frequency wise when it's angry, unforgiveness, negative emotions create low frequencies, and therefore they draw low frequencies towards them, and therefore you come into agreement with low frequencies, and that potentially could cause dis-ease. Disease is just the system out of ease, out of rest, out of harmony. So, all that happens in the sense of frequency. Now, frequency is a scientific term, really, is just the rate at which something is vibrating. And if you tune A to 444, then the whole musical scale operates on a particular set of frequencies. That if you read into that, there are some good stuff out there online. A friend of mine, Dell Hungerford, has got some very good articles. She's a concert sort of musician and a professor of music. She's got some very good articles on frequency, and particularly how that relates to solfeggio scales and all this sort of stuff. But when it comes to changing what A is tuned to, that seemed to be changed somewhat, I think, in the 20th century, and previously to that it was different. Now I know some Christian musicians are changing their tuning to 432 or 444. Both of them have different properties when you engage it. I remember when our musicians did that, I felt something. My whole being connected to the songs that we were singing in a way that I'd not done before. And there seemed to be something more in tune and harmonious with God at those different frequency tunings. Now, there's scientific things behind that, and I'm not going to go into all that. But ultimately, when I first went into heaven in 2010 in a consistent way, one of the first things that God spoke to me about was frequency, harmony, resonance. And again, I did exactly the same as you. Oh, that sounds weird. Looked it up, found a whole load of new age stuff. And it was like, oh, but you told me about this. So there's got to be some significance in why you're speaking to me about that. He also spoke to me about quantum physics and quantum entanglement and quantum tunneling and all these things. And I'm like, what is all this about? But then I began to understand over a period of time how God has created the universe, how when he spoke things into being, light responded to his voice and formed a reality. Now we call that collapsing a wave function, making a choice which effectively orders reality. And quantum physics would say that the observer affects reality by its observation, and that's done in various experiments, the double slit experiment and other things. Now it's weird. It doesn't seem very scientific, but actually it's the mystical and the scientific coming together in a revelation of how God formed things and how God created things and how he wants us to operate within that creational dynamic. And the more I began to explore it, the more God began to show me how this worked, and how we can be in two places at once or multiple places at once, because quantum entanglement, that's what it does. You split a thing into, let's say, three, they're divided by millions of miles, but they're still instantly affected. When one is affected, the others are affected. So I learned that's what it is. When we're in heaven, our physical being and our emotional being, our soul, is affected directly, instantly, from that connection. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.